Her first kiss came from fear, until a cowboy showed her what love should be. Emily had always felt a little different from the other kids in her small town. The town itself was quiet, a place where everyone knew each other's business, and the streets seemed empty most of the time except for the occasional dog running free or a car slowly passing by. It was the kind of town where secrets did not last long, and gossip moved faster than the wind through the fields. For Emily, life had always felt smaller than she wanted it to be, even though the vast open spaces around her might have suggested freedom. From the earliest years, Emily's parents were protective, not in a gentle way, but in a way that made her feel like the world outside their home was filled with danger. Her father often said, "Emily, be careful whom you trust. People can hurt you when you least expect it." Her mother, though softer in voice, said similar things, warning her about boys, strangers, and even the intentions of friends. These warnings, repeated over and over, slowly planted seeds of fear in her young mind. Emily learned to walk lightly, to watch her surroundings, and to think twice before speaking. School brought a different kind of challenge. Emily was smart, curious, and often found herself lost in books rather than playing outside. While other children ran and shouted with the joy of being alive, Emily preferred the quiet corners of the library or sitting under the shade of an old oak tree, sketching in her notebook. She liked observing people, trying to understand their expressions and emotions, though she rarely shared her own. The other children noticed her quiet nature, and sometimes they teased her. She would smile politely, hide the hurt behind her lips, and turn back to her books. When it came to friendships, Emily had only a few. She had one or two close friends who understood her better than anyone else. Yet even in those friendships, there was always a sense of unease. She worried about saying the wrong thing, about doing the wrong thing, about being rejected or laughed at. This fear followed her into every interaction, including those with boys. For Emily, boys were particularly intimidating. Their teasing, their laughter, their sometimes unkind jokes, all of it seemed confusing and scary. She had never known the warmth of friendship or the thrill of affection without the shadow of fear lurking behind it. Her first kiss happened almost by accident. It was at a school sleepover, the kind of event Emily had attended reluctantly because one of her friends had insisted. The room was dimly lit, filled with whispers, giggles, and the occasional creak of the wooden floorboards. The other girls were talking about crushes, and Emily listened quietly, unsure how to participate. A boy, someone she had known since elementary school, leaned close under the soft glow of a lamp. He smiled, reaching out. Emily froze. The room seemed louder all of a sudden, the whispers echoing in her ears. "Come on, it's just a kiss," he said, grinning. Emily's heart raced. She wanted to say no, wanted to pull away, but something in her mind, fear of disappointing, fear of standing out, fear of making the wrong choice, made her stay. The kiss came quickly, and it was over just as fast as it began. But for Emily, it was not sweet, not exciting, not gentle. It was a moment filled with tension, confusion, and fear. She felt her stomach twist, her chest tighten, and a strange sadness wash over her. This was supposed to be a simple, innocent moment, but instead, it left her feeling small, unsure, and distant from everyone around her. After that day, Emily carried a secret weight. She avoided talking about it, not because she didn't want to share, but because she couldn't understand it herself. Why had it made her feel so uneasy? Why had her chest hurt in that strange, unfamiliar way? And why, when the other girls talked about their crushes and romantic experiences, did she feel a mixture of fear and jealousy? Emily didn't want to feel left out, but she didn't know how to let herself feel included without fear. As the years passed, Emily's fear of intimacy grew. She learned to smile politely at the boys who tried to talk to her, to laugh when they made jokes, but she kept her true self tucked safely behind a wall. She became good at hiding her emotions, at presenting a calm, collected exterior, while inside she struggled with anxiety and confusion. Her parents' warnings had shaped her early experiences so deeply that she didn't know how to separate the real world from the dangers she had imagined. She often replayed her first kiss in her mind, wondering why it had felt so wrong, why it had left a shadow that lingered longer than any other memory from her childhood. Even as she grew older, she found comfort in small routines. She loved walking along the narrow paths through the fields near her home, sketching the rolling hills or sitting by the river and watching the sunlight dance across the water. In these moments, she felt a sense of peace, a freedom that she could not find in interactions with other people. Animals, in particular, seemed to understand her better than humans did. Her dog, a loyal golden retriever, was her constant companion, sensing her moods, following her quietly without judgment, offering warmth and affection in a way that felt safe. Despite her caution, Emily was not completely closed off to the world. She was curious, observant, and in her quiet moments full of dreams. She imagined a life where she could laugh without fear, where she could be herself without hesitation. She thought about the stories she read, the movies she watched, and the people she admired from afar. She dreamed of a life where love was not frightening, where trust was not a burden, and where intimacy could be gentle and joyful instead of tense and confusing. School continued, and with it, the challenges of navigating social life. Emily remained studious, excelling in her classes, earning respect for her intelligence, but still struggling with her confidence in personal relationships. Teachers noticed her diligence and often praised her work, but Emily sometimes wished that they could see inside her mind, understand the tangled emotions she carried, and reassure her that her feelings were valid. Her friendships, while few, became more meaningful over time. She found people who listened without judgment, who understood her silences, and who shared their own fears and insecurities. These friends became a safe space, a place where Emily could practice being open without fear of ridicule or rejection. Yet even in these moments of trust, the shadow of her first kiss lingered. She had experienced affection once, and it had left her wary, hesitant, and uncertain. Emily's teenage years were marked by this tension between curiosity and fear. She wanted to explore the world, to meet new people, to experience connection, but the memory of her first kiss, and the way it had made her feel, held her back. She learned to observe from a distance, to admire others, relationships, and to hope that one day she might find a kind of love that felt safe, respectful, and real. At home, her parents continued to be cautious, reminding her of the dangers she might face. Emily loved them, of course, but sometimes she wished they would let her make her own mistakes, let her experience life fully without the constant shadow of fear. She wondered if anyone else in the world had experienced the same combination of longing and anxiety, if anyone else had felt like love could be something terrifying instead of something joyful. In the quiet moments before sleep, Emily often reflected on her experiences. She thought about the kiss that had shaped her understanding of love, about the fear that had followed her for so many years, and about the hope that someday, somewhere, she might meet someone who could teach her that love did not have to be frightening. These thoughts were both comforting and bittersweet, filling her with a quiet determination to find a different kind of connection, one that would be built on trust, respect, and genuine affection. And so Emily's early life unfolded in a mixture of fear and curiosity, of caution and hope. She walked the narrow path between the protective walls of her childhood and the unknown world outside, carrying with her the lessons of her past and the dreams of a future she had yet to meet. Little did she know that her life was about to change in ways she could never have imagined, that a new person would enter her world and show her a love she had never truly experienced, a love that was gentle, kind, and real. Emily did not yet know that the fear she had carried for so long was about to be replaced with something entirely different, something that would teach her that love could feel safe, joyful, and freeing. But even in the midst of her quiet, cautious life, there was a spark of hope, a small, persistent belief that someday love could be something beautiful, something she could embrace without fear. And that hope, fragile as it was, would be the first step toward a new beginning, a beginning that would challenge everything she had ever believed about love and show her that the heart, when treated with care, could heal and grow in ways she had never thought possible. The summer Emily turned 16 felt different from any summer she had experienced before. Her parents had decided to move to a slightly larger town a few hours away. It wasn't a big city by any means, but it had more life, more people, and more opportunities than the quiet streets of her old hometown. Emily felt a mix of nervousness and excitement. The thought of meeting new people made her heart race, but she also wondered if she would feel the same anxiety she always felt around boys. The new town was surrounded by wide fields, wooden fences, and winding dirt roads. The sun seemed brighter here, the sky larger and clearer. On her first day in the new town, Emily walked through the streets with a small backpack slung over her shoulder. She noticed the local shops, the bakery that smelled of fresh bread, and the small park where children laughed and played. Even the air seemed different, carrying a hint of freedom she hadn't felt before. School was bigger than Emily expected. There were more students, more teachers, and more opportunities to explore subjects she loved. She felt nervous walking through the hallways, worried about making a good impression. Her shy nature made it difficult to speak up, but she found comfort in quiet observation. She noticed the way people laughed, the way friends interacted, and the small acts of kindness that sometimes went unnoticed. It was at a local county fair that Emily first saw him, Caleb. He was not like anyone she had met before. He had a confident, easygoing presence, but it was not the kind of confidence that made others feel small. He was gentle, grounded, and kind. He was helping at a small rodeo show, leading a group of children on horseback rides. His cowboy hat sat slightly tilted on his head, and his eyes held a warmth that made Emily feel strangely calm, even from a distance. At first, Emily watched from the edge of the crowd, feeling a mix of curiosity and hesitation. She had never been around someone so comfortable in their own skin, someone who seemed both strong and gentle at the same time. She noticed the way he spoke softly to the horses, how he helped a child adjust the reins, and the way he encouraged the shy kids to try something new without pressure or judgment. There was something different about him, something that made Emily feel safe even though she didn't know him yet. Days passed, and Emily found herself returning to the fair more often. She would help with small tasks, like handing out water bottles to the riders or cleaning up the animal pens. Caleb noticed her, but he never forced conversation. Instead, he offered friendly smiles, small gestures of encouragement, and little pieces of advice when she asked. One day, Emily asked how he managed to calm the horses so easily. He knelt down beside her, demonstrating how to approach the animals slowly, respecting their space and letting them trust him first. Emily followed his instructions carefully, and to her surprise, the horse responded, nuzzling her hand gently. "That's amazing," she whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. Caleb smiled, a genuine, warm smile that made her feel at ease. "It's all about patience and understanding. You have to respect them just like people." Those words stayed with Emily. She realized that Caleb treated both people and animals with the same care. He didn't rush, he didn't demand, and he didn't make anyone feel small. For the first time in her life, Emily began to understand that affection and trust could feel safe. She began to open up slowly, asking questions, sharing small thoughts, and even laughing at little jokes Caleb made. As the weeks went by, Emily and Caleb spent more time together. They repaired fences, painted stalls, and organized the horses for weekend events. Emily learned the rhythm of the work, the gentle movements required to guide a horse, the patience necessary to understand its moods. Caleb never pressured her, he allowed her to learn at her own pace. Every success, no matter how small, was celebrated. When a horse responded to her touch or obeyed a command, Caleb clapped gently and said, "See, you're doing great, you just needed to trust yourself." These moments began to change Emily. She started trusting her instincts more, feeling a sense of accomplishment she had never known. The confidence she gained while working with the horses slowly seeped into her interactions with Caleb. She began sharing small details about her life, her favorite books, the places she liked to explore, even memories from her childhood that made her laugh or sigh. Caleb listened attentively, never judging, never rushing. One late afternoon, they were sitting on the fence, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and orange. The air was calm, the smell of hay and wildflowers drifting around them. Emily found herself telling Caleb about her first kiss, about the fear and confusion it had caused her. She spoke softly, her voice almost a whisper, but she felt safe sharing it. Caleb listened quietly, nodding with understanding. When she finished, he didn't laugh, tease, or dismiss her feelings. Instead, he said, "It makes sense why that would leave you feeling unsure. But that wasn't real love, Emily. It was a moment of fear, and fear shouldn't be part of something beautiful." Emily looked at him, surprised. His words felt like a gentle shield around her heart. For the first time, she felt the possibility of affection without fear. She realized that love could be patient, kind, and respectful. She realized that her past did not have to define her future. Their friendship grew stronger, built on shared experiences, trust, and laughter. Emily learned not just about horses, but about herself. She learned to recognize her own feelings, to trust her instincts, and to value her own comfort. She discovered that intimacy did not have to be frightening, that it could be gentle and nurturing if approached with care. One evening, Caleb invited Emily to help with a small event at the rodeo. They were responsible for guiding the younger horses, ensuring that every child had a safe and enjoyable ride. Emily was nervous, worried she might make a mistake, but Caleb's presence calmed her. He guided her hand, offered encouragement, and reminded her to breathe and stay patient. When the event ended successfully, Emily felt a rush of pride and joy. "You did amazing," Caleb said, smiling at her. "I'm proud of you." Emily felt warmth spread through her chest, a sensation different from the nervous flutter she had felt at her first kiss. This was joy, pride, and comfort all rolled into one. She realized that she had begun to trust someone outside her family, that she had begun to experience a bond that felt safe and real. Over time, their friendship included quiet walks along the fields, sharing stories, and even moments of playful teasing. Emily laughed more freely, moved more confidently, and began to see the world as a place where kindness and care were possible. She noticed that Caleb's presence made her feel brave, that she wanted to try new things, explore more, and experience life fully. Her parents noticed the change too. They commented on her brighter mood, her willingness to take on new challenges, and her growing independence. Emily didn't reveal everything about Caleb or the rodeo, but they saw the difference in her confidence and curiosity. She was learning that the world could be kind, that people could be trustworthy, and that love could be gentle. One afternoon, as they walked along a dirt road leading to the fields, Emily noticed a small butterfly struggling in the grass. She reached down to help it, and Caleb watched quietly. When she let it go, she felt a sense of connection, not just to the butterfly, but to the small joys of the world. Caleb smiled, and for a moment, Emily felt as though he understood her completely, without words, without explanations. That summer, Emily experienced moments of freedom she had never known. She learned to ride horses, care for animals, and navigate social interactions with less fear. She laughed, explored, and dreamed. And through it all, Caleb remained a steady presence, showing her that trust, patience, and gentle guidance could lead to deep, meaningful connections. By the end of the summer, Emily had grown in ways she had never imagined. She had discovered that fear did not have to control her, that her past experiences did not define her, and that love could exist without pressure, without anxiety, and without confusion. She had begun to understand that the first kiss that had filled her with fear was not a failure. It was a lesson that taught her to value kindness, patience, and true affection. Emily's heart, once cautious and guarded, was beginning to open. She began to look forward to new experiences, to moments of connection, and to the possibility of love that felt safe and real. And she realized that the world, though sometimes intimidating, could also be filled with people who respected her, encouraged her, and helped her grow. Little did Emily know that her journey with Caleb was only beginning. The bond they had formed that summer would soon lead her to confront her fears in new ways, to understand her heart more deeply, and to experience a love that was completely different from anything she had known before. But for now, she cherished the calm, the trust, and the gentle guidance that had shown her that love could be nurturing, safe, and beautiful. That summer, under the wide skies and golden sunlight, Emily discovered that life was bigger than her fears, brighter than her doubts, and more full of possibility than she had ever imagined. And with Caleb by her side, she began to see a future where love was not something to fear, but something to embrace, slowly, carefully, and with joy. The days turned into weeks, and Emily found herself looking forward to every moment she could spend at the rodeo. Each morning, she woke with a strange excitement she had never felt before. Even the simple thought of helping Caleb with the horses made her heart lift. She had learned so much about patience, care, and trust, not just with animals, but with people. She felt herself slowly changing, growing braver and more confident. But even with all this newfound strength, there were still moments when the shadow of her past fears crept in. Emily remembered the first kiss she had ever experienced. The memory made her stomach tighten even now. It had been rushed, confusing, and filled with a fear she didn't know how to handle. She had never told anyone about it, not her parents, not her friends. The thought of sharing it with someone made her nervous. She worried that if she admitted how scared she had been, people might laugh or worse, judge her. That fear had kept her cautious, keeping her heart behind invisible walls. Caleb noticed the little signs, the hesitation in her voice, the way she sometimes pulled back when things became too personal. But he never rushed her. Instead, he offered small gestures of kindness and understanding, allowing Emily to open herself slowly. He would hand her a brush to calm a horse or guide her hand to show her the right way to hold the reins. When she succeeded, he would smile and say, "See, you've got this." Each of these small moments helped her build trust not just in him, but in herself. One afternoon, Emily was leading a young horse through a practice run. The animal was nervous, its hooves stumbling over the dirt path. Emily's heart began to race. She felt the familiar tightness in her chest, the same one she remembered from her first kiss. But then she felt a calm hand on her shoulder. It was Caleb. "You've got this," he said softly. "Just breathe. Remember, patience is everything." Emily took a deep breath and focused on the horse. Slowly, carefully, she guided it along the path. The horse responded, moving steadily, and Emily felt a sense of pride wash over her. She realized that fear didn't have to control her. She could face it with patience and care. She smiled at Caleb, who smiled back, proud but gentle. That moment taught her a lesson she would never forget. Fear could be faced, and trust could be built one small step at a time. Their friendship deepened in these small, meaningful ways. They shared stories of their childhoods, their dreams, and even their fears. Emily told Caleb about her love for drawing, how she liked to spend hours sketching the rolling hills or animals in their pens. Caleb listened attentively, sometimes giving gentle advice or encouragement. He never mocked her, never interrupted, never made her feel small. Emily felt a growing sense of safety around him, a feeling she had never experienced with anyone else. But even as their bond grew, Emily's insecurities sometimes crept in. She worried that she would never be able to feel real love, that her past experiences would always hold her back. She was afraid of misreading Caleb's kindness, of misunderstanding his intentions, and of being hurt again. These fears made her hesitate in moments when she wanted to express herself, when she wanted to laugh freely or show genuine affection. One evening, they were walking along the fence line, the sun dipping low behind the hills. Emily wanted to tell Caleb how much she appreciated him, how much his friendship meant to her. But the words got stuck in her throat. She feared that if she spoke, she might say something wrong or worse, ruin the easy comfort they shared. Caleb noticed her hesitation. "You don't have to say anything right now," he said softly, reading her expression. "I know it's not always easy, just being here with me is enough." Emily felt a warm relief. His understanding made her heart feel lighter. She realized that she didn't have to rush herself, that love and trust could be nurtured slowly, without pressure. That evening, as they sat together on the fence watching the stars appear one by one, Emily felt a quiet joy she had never known. She was learning that affection could be gentle, and that true connection came from patience and respect. Over the next few weeks, Emily and Caleb spent more time together outside of the regular chores. They walked along the fields, explored the edges of the town, and even went on small adventures in the nearby woods. Emily began to laugh more freely, to share stories she had kept hidden, and to feel a sense of belonging she had never experienced before. She noticed how Caleb's presence calmed her, how his steady voice and careful guidance made her feel safe to be herself. One day, while feeding the horses, Emily remembered her first kiss again. She shivered at the memory, the tightness in her chest returning. She thought about how different it had felt from the moments she was now sharing with Caleb. With him, there was no rush, no pressure, no fear. There was only patience, kindness, and a genuine desire to understand her. She realized that the kiss from her past had taught her a lesson, not about love, but about what it should never be. And now, with Caleb, she was learning what love could be. A small misunderstanding tested their growing bond. Emily had overheard Caleb talking to another friend about an upcoming event, and she misinterpreted his words. She worried that he might see her differently or that his friendship was changing. Her mind raced with fears she had carried for years. For a moment, she wanted to withdraw, to retreat into the safe walls she had built around herself. Caleb noticed the change in her demeanor immediately. He gently asked her what was wrong, his tone patient and calm. Emily hesitated but finally confessed her worries. She told him about her fears of being misunderstood, of being hurt, and of never being able to feel real love. Caleb listened without interruption, nodding with understanding. "Emily," he said gently, "I care about you and I would never want to hurt you." You don't have to be afraid with me. True love isn't about pressure or fear. It's about trust, respect, and patience. That's what I want for us if you want it too." Emily felt a weight lift from her shoulders. His words were not just comforting, they were a revelation. For the first time, she understood that love could be safe, that it could exist without fear. She realized that her past experiences did not have to dictate her future, that she could learn to trust again, and that she could open her heart slowly at her own pace. In the following days, Emily reflected on Caleb's words. She began to notice the small ways she was changing, how she smiled more freely, how she laughed more openly, how she felt a growing confidence in herself and her abilities. She realized that the bond she shared with Caleb was different from anything she had experienced. It was not built on pressure, fear, or obligation, but on kindness, patience, and mutual understanding. Emily began to test her newfound confidence. She took on more responsibilities with the horses, offered help to younger kids at the rodeo, and even tried new activities she had never dared to attempt before. Each success, no matter how small, reinforced her belief in herself. Caleb was always there, quietly supportive, offering guidance only when needed and celebrating her achievements with genuine joy. One afternoon, after a long day of work, Emily and Caleb sat on the edge of the field, watching the sunset. Emily felt a surge of gratitude and warmth. She thought about how much she had grown, how far she had come from the fearful girl who had experienced her first kiss with anxiety and confusion. She realized that Caleb had taught her something more than friendship. He had shown her that love could be nurturing, safe, and real. As the sky turned shades of orange and pink, Emily found herself leaning slightly closer to Caleb. She felt a sense of trust she had never known, a readiness to experience affection without fear. Caleb, noticing her movement, smiled softly. He didn't rush, didn't pressure, and didn't speak immediately. He simply waited, patient and understanding, allowing Emily to take the lead. Emily closed her eyes for a moment, taking a deep breath. She thought about her first kiss, about the fear and confusion it had caused. She thought about how different her life felt now, how safe and respected she felt with Caleb. And then in that quiet, golden light, she felt a sense of anticipation, a sense that something meaningful, something real was possible. The bond they had built was strong, yet delicate. It was not the kind of connection that could be forced or rushed. It was built on understanding, patience, and trust, elements Emily had never known before. She realized that her past fears did not have to define her, that her heart could heal and grow, and that love could exist in a gentle, safe, and joyful way. That evening, as they walked back toward the barn, Emily felt a quiet hope stirring inside her. She knew that there were still challenges ahead, that her insecurities might resurface, and that learning to trust fully would take time. But she also knew that she had taken the first steps toward understanding what real love could be. And with Caleb by her side, guiding her gently and patiently, she felt ready to face those challenges and embrace the possibilities of the future. Emily's heart, once cautious and guarded, was beginning to open fully. She was learning that love was not something to fear, that trust and respect were the foundation of true connection, and that her past experiences did not have to define her future. She felt a quiet excitement about the days to come, knowing that she was about to discover a depth of emotion, understanding, and affection that she had never thought possible. And so, Emily's journey continued, filled with small lessons, quiet victories, and growing confidence. The fear that had shaped her early experiences was slowly being replaced with trust, understanding, and a readiness to embrace the beauty of human connection. She was learning that love could be gentle, that intimacy could be safe, and that her heart, when treated with care, could open fully to experience joy and affection. The summer had begun to fade into early autumn, and the air was filled with a gentle crispness that made Emily feel alive. She had grown in ways she never thought possible. Her time with Caleb had taught her to trust, to be patient, and to believe that love could be kind and gentle. She still remembered the fear and confusion of her first kiss, the way it had left her anxious and unsure. But now she understood that the past did not define her. She could choose a different path, a path filled with trust, understanding, and joy. Emily and Caleb had spent countless hours together over the summer. They worked with the horses, guided younger children during rides, and even helped repair fences around the rodeo grounds. Every task they undertook became an opportunity for Emily to learn, to grow, and to experience confidence in herself. Each small success brought her pride and a growing sense of independence. But more than that, every moment with Caleb brought warmth, comfort, and the realization that she could trust someone with her heart. One afternoon, after the last group of children had ridden the horses for the day, Caleb suggested they take a walk along the fields. The sun was low, casting long shadows across the golden grass, and the sky was painted with soft shades of pink, orange, and purple. Emily felt a quiet excitement in her chest. The day had been full of laughter, small challenges, and victories, but she also felt a nervous anticipation. Something in her heart was stirring, something she had never felt before, a combination of trust, curiosity, and hope. They walked side by side in comfortable silence, listening to the rustle of the wind through the fields and the distant call of birds preparing to rest for the night. Emily noticed the way Caleb's presence seemed to calm everything around her. She had learned to trust him, not just with small tasks, but with her emotions and her thoughts. For the first time, she felt ready to let someone see her completely, without fear, without hesitation. As they reached a quiet hill overlooking the rodeo grounds, Caleb stopped and turned to her. His eyes held the same warmth and patience that had guided her all summer. Emily felt her heart flutter. She had learned so much about herself, about trust, and about what love could be. And now, in this quiet, golden light, she felt the possibility of something even more profound, something real, something genuine, something she had longed for without even realizing it. "Emily," Caleb said softly, "there's something I want to tell you." Emily looked at him, her chest tightening with nervous excitement. She had learned to face fears before, but this felt different. This was not about controlling a horse, completing a task, or making a decision. This was about opening her heart, allowing herself to feel something she had never truly experienced. Caleb took a gentle step closer. "I care about you," he continued. "More than a friend, I want you to know that I respect you and I will never rush you or make you feel unsafe. But I also want to be honest about my feelings. I like you, Emily. I've liked you for a long time." Emily felt a rush of emotions, joy, relief, and a nervous excitement she had never felt before. Her mind went back to that first kiss, the one filled with fear and confusion. She realized now that what she felt with Caleb was completely different. This was gentle, kind, and safe. Her heart told her that she could trust him completely. Caleb smiled, noticing her reaction. He didn't push, didn't demand, didn't expect anything more. He simply waited, patient and understanding, giving her the space to process her feelings. Emily took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of his presence, the comfort of his patience, and the safety of his trust. "Caleb," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly, I feel the same. I trust you. I've never felt this way before, but I know this is different. I'm ready." Caleb's smile grew, and he reached out slowly, giving Emily the chance to move closer if she wanted. She did. And in that quiet, golden light under the vast sky, Emily experienced her first real kiss. It was gentle, slow, and filled with understanding. There was no fear, no confusion, no pressure, only warmth, trust, and joy. Her heart felt light, her chest full of happiness, and a quiet sense of peace settled over her. After the kiss, they both laughed softly, a sound of pure relief and happiness. Emily felt tears of joy prick her eyes, not from sadness, but from the realization that she had finally found a love that was gentle, kind, and real. Caleb held her hand, and they sat together on the hill, watching the sun dip below the horizon. "I never knew love could feel like this," Emily said softly. Caleb nodded. "Most people don't, Emily, but it's real when it's built on respect, trust, and patience. That's what we have, and that's what makes it special." In the following days, Emily noticed how much she had changed. She laughed more freely, spoke more confidently, and even shared her feelings openly with Caleb. She no longer felt the weight of her past fears pressing on her chest. Instead, she carried a sense of hope, excitement, and a deep understanding of what love could truly be. She had learned that trust could be built slowly, that patience was a strength, and that true affection was nurturing and safe. Their relationship grew naturally, without rush or pressure. They spent evenings walking through the fields, mornings helping with the horses, and afternoons exploring small adventures around the town. Every shared smile, every gentle touch, and every kind word reinforced the bond they had built over the summer. Emily realized that love was not something to fear, but something to embrace carefully and fully with someone who respected and valued her. Emily also began reflecting on her past experiences, especially the kiss that had caused so much fear. She no longer saw it as a failure or something that had defined her. Instead, she saw it as a lesson, a moment that had taught her to value patience, trust, and true affection. She understood that the fear she had carried for years was not a sign of weakness, but a guide that had prepared her for a love that was safe, gentle, and real. Her parents noticed the change in her as well. They saw her confidence, her joy, and the way she carried herself with newfound assurance. Emily didn't feel the need to hide her emotions anymore. She could express herself freely, knowing that Caleb respected her feelings and supported her growth. Their relationship had become a source of happiness, not fear, a reminder that kindness and patience could transform even the most cautious heart. One evening, as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Emily and Caleb sat on the fence, their hands intertwined. The soft breeze carried the scent of wildflowers and hay, and the world felt peaceful and full of promise. Emily leaned her head gently on Caleb's shoulder, feeling completely safe and loved. She reflected on the journey that had brought her here, from a shy, fearful girl who had experienced her first kiss in confusion and anxiety, to a young woman who had discovered the beauty of trust, patience, and genuine affection. "I never imagined love could feel like this," Emily whispered. Caleb kissed the top of her head, smiling. "That's because it's real. Real love isn't about fear, it's about care, respect, and understanding. And you've taught me a lot about trust too, Emily." Emily smiled, feeling warmth spread through her heart. She realized that this was just the beginning of her journey, not just in love, but in life. She had learned that she could face her fears, that she could trust again, and that she could experience joy and connection without anxiety or doubt. The world, once intimidating and filled with uncertainty, now felt like a place of possibility and hope. As the night deepened, Emily and Caleb sat quietly, enjoying the peacefulness of the fields. They talked about their dreams, their hopes for the future, and the adventures they wanted to share. Emily felt a sense of belonging she had never known before. She had found someone who respected her, nurtured her growth, and loved her for who she was, not for who she pretended to be. By the end of that summer, Emily had transformed completely. The fear that had once defined her early experiences with affection had been replaced by trust, understanding, and a love that was nurturing and safe. She had discovered that real love did not have to be frightening, that intimacy could be gentle and joyful, and that her heart, once guarded and anxious, could open fully to experience happiness and connection. Emily realized that love was a journey, not a destination. It required patience, trust, and a willingness to embrace vulnerability. But with the right person, love could be transformative, healing, and beautiful. She had found that person in Caleb, a kind, patient, and understanding companion who had shown her that fear did not have to dictate her experiences, and that her heart could heal and grow in ways she had never imagined. And so, under the wide sky, surrounded by the fields and the quiet beauty of the town, Emily experienced a new beginning. She had discovered that love, when built on trust and respect, could be safe, gentle, and real. Her past fears no longer held her back. She looked forward to the days ahead with hope, excitement, and a full heart, knowing that she had finally found the love she had always deserved, a love that was patient, kind, and true. In that moment, Emily understood that the journey she had taken, the challenges, the fears, the small victories, and the growth, had prepared her for this exact feeling. And as she sat with Caleb, watching the stars appear one by one in the night sky, she knew with certainty that she had discovered what love should really be. A connection filled with trust, joy, and a deep sense of peace.